That big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's going on, Level 2 Legion? You got Keegan and you got Tom here with Level 2 Gaming. And we are here with another couch conversation because we're sitting on a couch conversing to you and us and talking about topics.
We sure is.
We sure is. Today's topic is, what is your favorite game console of all time and why? So, Tom, I'll start with you. You're a little bit older, so I have a feeling yours might be a little bit older, but...
Not necessarily.
PS4, right?
No. I had a really great time with the Mega Drive or Genesis in your country.
What do you mean your country?
I won't say that's my favorite. I had a good
Really?
time with it. Yeah.
That's what I expected you to say.
I have another one. That is the PS2. The PS2 was the one probably that I had for the longest.
I think the PS2 in general transformed gaming.
Yeah, totally. But I think it's the one I had for the longest. The move to that level of graphical fidelity was a huge one from the PS1.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big deal at the time. And I look back so fondly on so many games of the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when we're walking around, like, you know, me and you, we go traveling sometimes to game stores and things like that, and when you're kind of walking around, you're looking at the cartridge section for this and you know, what have you. When you get to that PS2 section, for me anyway, and I'm looking through those shelves, there's so many games that I just go, oh, fuck, I remember that.
Well, there's so
That
many
was a
games for
classic.
that console.
Totally.
I mean,
and it had one of the longest lives and definitely one of the largest libraries, if not the largest library.
I think it is the largest
Yeah,
library.
for
There's one
any
person in the
console.
world that has a 100% collection of that library.
Oh, fuck that.
That's crazy. It's like 1,300 games, I think.
Yeah, but if you remember, like, there's so many, like, even just, like, one-off games. Like, even playing things at the time, like, a bunch of my favorites I actually picked up fairly recently, like The Punisher. There's a one-off Punisher game on the PS2 that was amazing. The Thing, after the Thing movie, was, like, this random little game that was amazing. The whole Devil May Cry series started there. You know, a lot of the Silent Hills started there, except for the first one. And it just, I don't know, I think it just truly blew me away. It lasted for so long. The library was so good. And also, it was one of the first consoles, I think, that would play, like, DVDs and stuff like that, right?
I believe so, yeah.
I think the PS1 would play music, but I don't know if it would do
Yeah,
DVDs.
so it was the first one to play DVDs, and then the PS3 is the first one to play Blu-rays.
Right, so, you know...
Because that's back when DVD players were expensive.
When consoles started really changing
Into
a little
media
bit about
boxes.
how they... Yeah, into media boxes, exactly. So you have some of that going on for it, too. So really, really a wonderful console. Even from the small touches, like turning it up on its head, you could flick that little PS symbol sideways and it would still be kind of legit, you know? Such a small thing, but just made me smile every time.
So, fun fact,
yeah.
I've never played a PlayStation 2. Ever.
Didn't you play one over here once?
No, we never played it.
All right, well...
Yeah, I've never played a PlayStation 2.
That's on our bucket list there for you.
So
what's yours?
I had friends who had it, but I never played it. Mine, I think you know what mine is, but it's the console I say I grew up with. It was the N64. Which, it's weird because if you look back at that console, technologically, it is garbage compared to what was against it at the time, but
It had its charms.
I think it was Nintendo doing Nintendo right, is what it was. It was gameplay. They didn't focus 100% on graphics, which we have a conversation of what we think they should do, or they should have done at E3, but they did gameplay right. The only complaint I have is that controller's a little wonky. I don't think they needed the left nubbin.
It was a weird-ass
They had the
controller for
two-number,
the time.
but it brought the
took me
joystick.
a long time to get used to it,
Brought
but
Z-targeting.
I kind of dig it.
I mean, I didn't... I think it's just because I had so much fun playing games with friends on that. There's so many multiplayer games. Like, I played Tony Hawk with friends. I played Mario Party with friends. I played... do you remember... Oh, was it Clay Fighter?
Yeah, I remember Clay Fighter.
63 and a half or something is the name of it, or something like that. I think it's Clay Fighter 63.
But you're a very
and half,
social gamer in general.
Yeah.
I think that was a very social console.
Yes, and it was the first console that had 4 plugs, and to me that was a big deal. And I also remember, even not multiplayer, I mean, obviously multiplayer-wise you had GoldenEye and all that, but not multiplayer-wise, I remember being blown away the first time I saw Shadows of the Empire, that first level with Hoth. I didn't own it, my friend down the street, Will, hi Will, if you watch this, you probably don't.
What up, Will?
But Will had it, and he literally lived down the street, and we'd always hang out. We played basketball together. We'd hang out. We were best friends for the longest of time. And every time I went over there, he'd get mad because I wanted to play that game, because I wanted to play that level. Because I think before...
Hoth?
The Hoth level, yeah, the very first one. I think before Battlefront happened, there wasn't a level...
Yeah, it was basically the Battlefront precursor,
Yeah.
I guess.
So to me, it's that, and it's partially, again, the social aspect of it, having the 4 players.
And it did have some of the best-selling video games of all time
Mm-hmm.
as well. Like if you remember, like Mario 64,
Dude, Mario 64 is the greatest.
just by itself, that was worth the whole console.
Yes.
Like if you had previously been playing your 2D Marios and then suddenly you turn on Mario 64 and then like Mario Kart 64 as well, like that was.
Well,
that's all you
I think
needed.
it's funny because
That's all you
I didn't really go like I had an NES, so I played the original Mario, but a lot of people who are older than I am remember the change from the 2D to 3D and how much that screwed them up. But I think I was at that point, I had not gotten into gaming that much, so that was my first foray was 3D. So to me, 2D is kind of a look back at things because I'm 25. I mean, I'm old enough.
33.
I'm old enough to know they exist, but I never really played them consistently because I was too young.
I remember it well, and it was, and like you said, we said this previously in a different one, I think, but it's interesting how some games just did not make that transition.
Sonic.
Sonic never made it correctly.
bad.
Crash never made it correctly. Like there was just, I think Spyro. Well, no, Spyro was 3D to begin with.
Spyro was 3D, yeah.
But there's something else that just they had so much trouble going into the 3D plane and kind of taking advantage of it in the same way that Mario.
I
did.
mean-
and to be fair, if you've played a Mario game, no one thought that the 3D Mario game was going to work.
No. Well,
Like, 'cause that's the whole thing is the 2D-ness.
You know
of
what's
it.
crazy though is like if you look at that controller, I think the reason that controller designed is because of 2 games. I think it's designed because of Mario 64 because you had the C buttons for the camera control, and then Zelda with Z targeting. Like Z targeting is a thing because of Zelda.
A couple classics on there, Ocarina and Majora's Mask.
Mhm.
There's just, and even some of the weirder ones as well. Like I'm a huge fan of Mystical Ninja Goemon, and trust me, that's coming on the channel as soon as I get a chance. But like, there's some of these like weird out there games that maybe weren't as popular, but was still kind of dope. But yeah, the library was small but super strong.
Yes.
Like really, really strong. One of the strongest libraries I think of any console ever released.
And it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't even that big. It just and the expansion pack happened. Oh my god! Like
Rumble packs.
Rumble packs.
Rumble packs were dope.
The one game this blew my mind. I'm a Pokemon fan, like the original Pokemon series. So I had red, blue, and yellow at the time. And then I got Pokemon Stadium, which came with this little contraption you could plug in the bottom of your 360, wow, N64 controller, put your Pokemon game in there, and you can do one of 2 things. You can either play your Pokemon game in Pokemon Stadium on a big, well, at the time it was big for the time. I mean, we were talking 15, 20-inch TVs versus now we have 50-inch TVs. Because if you had a 50-inch tube TV, it'd weigh 1,000 pounds.
That's true.
But played on the big screen versus the little screen. And then the other thing you could do is you could trade them to that. So I actually kind of cheated a little bit because I tricked the system. So I had both versions of the game, and you only get certain Pokemons in certain versions, or by trading. So what I would do is I would take like a Graveler, trade it into Pokemon Stadium, unplug my game, get the other game, trade it back out to my other game, and I would get Golem. So things like that. So that to me, like, I know there's a Super Game Boy, but again, I never played that. To me, that was just like, what? I could this console and this thing could go together and you play the game. And
Definitely was one of the more
interactive,
interesting
like-
variations, and it had the expanded memory and things like that. It was just a very, very interesting innovation. Nintendo, I think, at their best.
I think so too.
Absolutely.
Like I said, controller is probably the only thing I have
If
complaints
Nintendo
about.
does
but-
anything really well, it's innovation, and I think that it's sad that the Wii U has gone the way that it has at this point. But even the Wii, like, it was a piece of shit console. But as far as like what it brought to gaming in general, you can't deny how much it brought to that.
I mean, the Move came from it. Kinect came from it. The fact that there's motion in the PS4 controller came from it. Like,
honestly, it kind of normalized gaming a lot as well, just because you had like grandmas in elderly homes playing like Wii bowling and stuff, and it got to a point where the kids could play, the really old people could play, and it just made gaming, I think, less kind of subculture nerdy and more acceptable to the masses. Like, oh shit, this is actually kind of fun. Maybe they didn't want to move on to like a PS4 or whatever, but at the same time it still gave them the joy of gaming and gaming simply. So,
yeah, I remember getting N64 cartridges. We'd have to drive an hour because we lived in Podunk nowhere. Drove an hour to Fredericton to go to the mall, go to Toys R Us, and I remember going into because they had the metal detectors to go into the gaming section.
Yeah.
So everything else was like open, and the gaming section was off. When you walk in, it's off to the left. I can picture it in my head. It went PlayStation, Nintendo, and I think Sega. is how it went at the time, and then you had PC games back in the corner, accessories along the wall. But I remember going up and down, just looking at these boxes, and I miss that. I mean, you still do it today, but I do. We had a conversation about digital versus physical, but I miss going into game stores. I don't do it nearly as much. It's all online now. But, anyways. That was a little tangent. What's your guys' favorite console and why?
I want you to defend it. Don't just tell me what it is. Defend it as the greatest console of all time.
Yes.
Give us game examples. Give us examples of what it did to the industry.
And if somebody says a Virtual Boy, you're wrong.
Yeah, you might.
You might be wrong.
But yeah, we genuinely want you guys to answer this. If you've never commented on a video of ours before, make this the first one, and let us know what your favorite.
We probably
console
own
is
it, and we could probably. What system? What game do you want us to play? I mean,
we have a lot. So we don't have them all, but we do have a great deal. So if you want to see a Dreamcast game that's kind of something that was a bit niche at the time, if we can find it, we'll grab it and we'll play it.
It's not $400.
Let us know.
So
yeah.
But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, welcome to the second level.
Bye.
So the best way to get in touch with Level 2 Gamers is head over to Twitter and follow us at Level 2 Gamers. We're gonna sit here till you do that. Have you gone yet? Go. Come on, bro. No, I'll make it easier. Put a link here. Just go. Why are you still here? Go to Twitter. I don't think they're going to Twitter.